Alright YouTube, so for this vlog I'll be doing a movie review, not of a new movie, but of Evil Dead Rise, which is a 2023 movie, of course based in the Evil Dead franchise, which I'm not 100% sure if it's bouncing off Evil Dead 2013, well, not called Evil Dead 2013, but the movie Evil Dead, which is of course the same franchise that came out in 2013, so, I don't know if this is a direct sequel to it or if it's like loose sequels, but something I did notice about this movie and compared to Evil Dead Burn is they're both similar themes, but like completely different characters and completely different, like practically everything. It's practically like a soft reboot, as they would call it. So that's what I like about this franchise, at least the ones I've seen. And the other ones I've seen is like sort of not just like, repeats and similar things. It's like, how do I explain? The silver lining is there, the franchise is there, but we meet new characters and have cool new adventures. So I'll stop going in circles now and talk about Evil Dead Rise. So it's definitely a great movie, and it was fun to see even on streaming, of course. Could have been cool to see in the theaters, but if it comes out in theaters again for a re-release, I'll be happy to see it. But definitely enjoyed the director's take, because I did see his movie. Of course, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, which really cool movie, very niche movie for me, and he completely directed and wrote this movie, so it was definitely really well done and cool. And I see a lot of the similarities. I feel like with Evil Dead Rise, there was like more adequate and like appropriate use of gore and violence, and definitely like a better runtime than The Mummy. Not that I don't love The Mummy, but looking back, I did rewatch a little bit of it today, and I can kind of see where some of the criticism came in, that the movie was a little gross unnecessarily at times, like particularly seeing the guys like cleaning up his sister. It's like, just like skin doesn't need to be peeling them. But side tangent though, the gore is done great in this movie. There's like a ton of blood, but nothing's like too like flinch worthy like in Evil Dead Burn. We see the movie starts out with similarly three characters. I'm not going to go into what happens, but let's put it this way, we don't see those characters again in the movie, but we do see a one day earlier, which is fascinating, because a lot of times when movies do time jumps, it's like a decade or so, but one day is like, a record for time jumps I've seen. Probably not a record altogether, I know, but definitely fascinating to see. And what I like about this movie is it took place in pretty much the same setting. It took place in an apartment, and sort of the characters trying to, get out of the haunted possession of the character's mother. And she has three children who have really interesting character dynamics. Like the oldest daughter kind of gives me like emo, tomboy-like vibes. The son, he kind of gives me like, he's big into DJing, I noticed in the movie, and he later finds the Book of Evil, which of course we all know and love from the Evil Dead, and playing like a record on his DJ player of the character's lore of the Evil Dead. Like, I don't know exactly what to call it, but I do recognize it from Evil Dead Burn, so I hope that doesn't count as a spoiler. But it's definitely like a good way to tie in the OG Evil Dead movies, same with these as well as the new ones. And of course, this franchise is still produced by Sam Raimi, who's a GOAT, and going off, we also see the youngest daughter, who's kind of just the standard cute little young child of the family. We also meet the character's aunt, who has a really bad dynamic with their mother, but she later learns to step up and gets like sort of a redemption arc, which was really cool. And like I was saying, this movie happens in like one place in the apartment, and there are little bits and pieces that happen outside it, but there's also an earthquake in the movie, which is really cool. And there are some other characters that are fascinating, like the old guy who's like smoking a cigar, and the younger guy who does a prayer for when the character's mother, not his mother, but the children's mother gets possessed by the Evil Dead. And yeah, things like, as you can imagine, hit the fan, actually quite literally in this movie, things hit the fan. So yeah, overall this movie was incredible. It was perfect length too. It was like an hour and a half, which usually not my favorite in length for a movie, but considering this was like, one of the few movies I've seen like on streaming, because I really need to watch more movies on streaming when I'm not in the theaters, because relying on theaters to see movies is not really the move for me, seeing as the type of YouTube art and content and videos I want to create. So overall, this is one of the first streaming movie reviews I've done, but certainly won't be the last. Evil Dead Rise is a great movie. It's on HBO Max, and Evil Dead Burn is out now in theaters. 10 out of 10. This movie probably gives slightly lower, maybe like 9, not much lower, but still lower. So yeah, overall a great movie. Can't wait to make more vlogs. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you more soon. Goodbye.